Hello, goddess. Welcome back. So I am going to do this as a part two. I'm not sure whether or not I'm going to be able to connect these two videos, but we are talking about creating your own happiness. And my screen froze. It was so bizarre. I'm not sure if all of that was recorded. So I'm either going to do this as a part two, welcome back, or I'm going to figure out how to connect these videos. So let's continue on with it. So we are talking about creating your own happiness, and we are picking up from the part where we are talking about how your personal vibration, your vibe, is your reality, is your personality. Okay. And your personality predicts your personal reality and how those are all shaped and how they interrelate. Okay. And the way that this happens is by focus. Everything is focus, and whatever you focus on is going to have governance over your feeling. And feeling is the secret. So I have been heavy into Neville Goddard lately. So y'all check out Neville Goddard and his work. He is a philosopher of the 20th century, I believe, not the 19th century, but the 20th century. And that work is so profound. It will change your life. If you want to go directly to the source of like how to shape your consciousness and your conscious reality, check out Neville Goddard. It's powerful stuff. Okay. So what happens is your focus is going to govern your emotions. All right. So your thought response to whatever is happening to you. And in the first part of the video, we talked about how we're dealing with our reality, our circumstances, and the best way to equip your mindset so that everything is working for you. Okay, so your thought response to the way that life is happening, which is everything that we talked about in part one, and how you are processing it, how you are digesting things emotionally, is going to affect. So your mind is going to affect your body. Okay, and it is going to affect your neurochemistry. So that is how you are wired. And that is the wiring inside of your brain. And the way that your wiring is set up mentally is going to affect how you respond to it hormonally and chemically. So, for example, if anytime something very small happens to you that is inconvenient, or challenging, if you automatically put yourself in the mindset and the consciousness of being a victim, then neurologically you are going to be wired as a victim. Okay? You are telling your body that neurologically, I want you to have the pattern. The body runs on patterns, the mind runs on patterns and shortcuts because we are trying to efficiently run this system that we have. So neurologically, hormonally, you're going to be shaped as a victim. Versus if you see something challenging happens to you, and you tell yourself, I'm actually going to work the muscle of overcoming this circumstance by number one, telling myself that I am victorious over anything that may be happening to me. And you are not alone. Like, we always have support. We always have God as a provider and as a protector. So you need to understand that this is all in our hands. It is all in our control. So neurochemically, it is going to affect you. Hormonally, it's going to affect you. So you're either stressed out about small circumstances, or you are developing the mental resiliency, the emotional resiliency, which is going to lead you to that biochemical resiliency, which is then going to tell your body that I want to emit hormones and neurochemicals that are actually strengthening my stance in this experience versus weakening my stance in this experience. If you are letting everything stress you out, which means that you complain about everything, especially the stuff that's out of your control. Like, why would you spend your time complaining about things that you cannot control, like things that that is of other people's doing? You empower yourself by realizing that you want to focus on what you can control, and namely, that is your mindset. If there's something that is making you unhappy, okay, complaining about it is not going to do anything. You're either going to stay there and allow that thing to happen and to occur. There's no amount of complaining that is going to change your reality. This is what I've found. Okay. And people that are really fed up with their realities, really, really tired of what they are experiencing, they just change it. You do something else. You find another solution. You have the power. No one's going to save you. No one's going to come and wave a magic wand. You actually have to develop the emotional resiliency. You have to strengthen the muscle of self-confidence, self-awareness, and you have to strengthen the quality of the inner work that you are doing surrounding how you are responding to the way that your reality is happening. And I'm just telling you this based on my own personal experiences. And also, y'all remember, I'm an Aquarius, okay? So we're in the age of Aquarius. It's big Aquarius energy. And one thing that an Aquarius is going to tell you, honey, is how to be unbothered. Sometimes you just have to practice being unbothered and not giving a F. So apparently I can't curse on YouTube because they don't like that. So I'm not gonna be doing, I'm gonna chill on that. But trust me, like being unbothered, learning how to practice being unbothered is one of the most powerful self-care skills that you can develop. Okay. Redirect your energy, redirect your focus, and focus on what you can what you can control. Okay. So the way that you're responding mentally to your experience is going to predict how neurochemically you respond. So if you're always mentally stressed out about things, you're always going to be emitting cortisol into your body. And in next week's video, we're actually going to talk about stress and how that affects your feminine energy. So please make sure that you hit that notification bell so that you can get informed of when I drop that video, because it's going to be really great. We're getting into a lot of scientific information that's critical to our survival and our expansion as feminine beings. Okay. So mentally, the way that you're participating with things is either going to tell your body, I'm going to emit more stress hormones. Like she's stressed out mentally. She sees this as a mentally stressful situation because that's what she's telling me. She's complaining about it in her mind. She's calling her friends up on the phone. She's complaining about it. She's complaining to her coworkers at work about it. So, okay, I'm just going to like put stress hormones into her body because obviously this is a threatening situation, right? So like this is how the conversation translates chemically, neurologically in your body when you talk to yourself like that. You understand? Versus, okay, that's out of my hands, that's out of my control. Processing that emotionally, which there are a ton of tools inside of these courses that I'm creating. I'm giving you resources for these things. I can't talk about it all on YouTube. Some of this stuff you have to go and you have to do the work, sign up for the courses or get these coaching sessions so I can really walk you through like how to really get into the deep, deep nitty-gritty cleaning of that internal mind, body, soul space. It's powerful. So if you're thinking positively about how you are experiencing your life and you laugh, learn how to laugh things off. Like if it's out of your control, laugh it off. Also, there comes a certain point where I have found that I just have to find creative solutions to things. Sometimes you just have to get creative and not just fixate on what you can control, but come up with creative ways of exercising the aspects of your response in the situation that you can control. And what that's going to do is it's going to tell your body, okay, I am resilient. I have stamina for whatever it is I am experiencing. And also now your body And your mind is saying, I'm just going to train myself to focus on the things that are actually working for me, because she's telling me that this person acting a fool is actually funny. It's not really a stressful thing. So what we're going to look for, instead of all the stressful things that we don't like about this situation or this person, what we're going to look for is, how can I look at this character, and how can I just take things from this character that I actually find useful for me? Because anytime you reach like a certain level of friction with a person, that's usually because it's irritating something in you that you need to wake up and kind of shake the dust off of, and just examine, well, how does that work for me? How do I respond to these things versus how this person will respond to these things? And it really builds your character, and it really makes you a robust person. And this is really how you level up your whole entire life. It is through this inner vibrational practice of mindfulness and awareness. This is all mindfulness work. You can journal it out. You can just experiment with life, like see life as an experiment. See these experiences as transient, and they are just all experiences. You are just practicing being who you are. See every day and every opportunity of life just to practice becoming and to practice being who you are. A lot of times we take things so deeply to heart on an emotional level, and they say that this is a feminine characteristic, and it is beautiful. But when it comes to happiness, baby, you have to take a different standpoint and a different viewpoint. And there has to be something that turns on in your consciousness where you become a proponent and a supporter of your happiness. And you have a certain immunity that you are developing that blocks and fends you off of things that would seek to eat away at your happiness. You really have to stand up for yourself energetically, emotionally, and equip yourselves with these resiliency tools. Okay. Yeah, because this is where disease is created from. Disease is created from the things that we just can't let go of. Someone dumps you. Let's say someone dumps you. You're dating and somebody rejects you. We won't use dump because we don't do boyfriends. Let's say you want to date somebody and you had your eye on someone, and then turns out that you're absolutely not this person's type. They're not into you. They're not into you. And you hold on to that and you try to change this person's mind. Now you're changing a guy, and you're in your masculine energy, and you're pursuing this dude. That's going to create disease in your body because you didn't just brush it off and let it slide through and redirect yourself and move on to the next one. You have now invited poverty consciousness into your body, which is a form of stagnant energy. And any type of stagnant energy is going to show up as disease in your body, because diseases are reflections of emotions that are not fluid and moving. Diseases are stagnant energy. It is a buildup, whether it is a buildup of mental patterning that has then built up this biochemical pattern of hormones that you don't need, or that end up throwing your whole chemistry off because you have just been attached to this narrative, attached to this outcome that is never going to happen, or that is out of your control. It's now built up in your heart as resentment. It's now built up as anger and frustration in your stomach. And so now you're having digestive issues. It's built up in a place where now you don't allow yourself to cry, so you're having challenging menstrual cycles. It's built up in your need to constantly be on the go, and so now you're having feet pain. So like, these are the bioenergetics that, well, some mild forms of bioenergetics that I have just been a student of, and I've studied for so many years of my life. And just being a student of yourself will give you the answer to these things. All right. So we don't want disease in our body. We want to have that feminine light energy. And you can check out some of my videos, some of my older videos on feminine energy, like the difference between masculine and feminine energy. I think there's one. And then also the book Exploring Your Divine Feminine Energy is actually a really great reference reference to show you how to feminize the energy in your body. I wish I could remember the name of the video. I know a couple weeks ago I did a video on how to build your feminine energy, but there's one that's even older that's a really just a very clear fundamental breakdown of feminine energy, and I believe goddess energy. So if you can find that, maybe tag it below. That'd be awesome. Thanks girls. All right, so the simplest way to create happiness in your life is to take control. So, not focusing on what you can't control, but controlling yourself, getting that emotional control and controlling your responses to this reality, and developing the emotional maturity to interact with reality in a way that is going to be supportive of your evolution. You have to make a decision about who you want to be. Okay. You can't be a victim and a boss babe at the same time. You can't be still in love with your ex, but wanting to find the love of your life at the same time. You cannot straddle these lines of personal identity, because what happens is when you are uncertain in your mind about what it is you want, energetically, you are sending your body and you are sending your energetic body, you are sending mixed signals to yourself. And so, therefore, your personal vibration is not going to be a clear magnet for the personal reality that you are trying to attract. So you want to be very clear about what you're holding on to and to keep your energy light and learn how to regularly release that which no longer serves you. And there are a lot of simple ways of release. One way that you can do release work is by grounding. So when you ground, whether it be taking your shoes off and walking outside, outdoors, breathing in the fresh air, or like me, getting a grounding mat. I recently got a grounding mat and I absolutely love it. They have them on Amazon. And just grounding yourself, it takes all of that chaotic energy in the form of electrons, and it kind of brings it in out of the base of your spine and really just helps you to be inside of your body rather than to be frazzled and overworked energetically by external stimulus. Because some stimuli that you are experiencing, and this is like for real for my empaths. I'm an empath. So sometimes when I'm around a lot of people for extended periods of time, I can end up like carrying that energy home with me. So I have to do things like carry around black tourmaline. Some days I need to have like rose quartz or smoky quartz on me just to help support myself energetically. And then I have to go home and I have to clear that energy off of me. Otherwise, it makes me like moody. It'll make me emotional. Like I'm very sensitive to the vibration of others. Please comment below if you have any kind of, if you know what I'm talking about, or if you have any kind of energy protection techniques that you would like to share with the tribe. So you want to be clearing yourself. And I found that using the grounding mat is that's like my new fun way of clearing my energy and grounding my energy, finding that internal stability. Okay. And again, it's all about the identity. And how is it that we find out how we are self-identifying? I find that the best way to find out how you are self-identifying is through your personal self-talk. So how do you talk to yourself? Do you talk to yourself? You'll notice, ask yourself, I want you to think about this. Do you talk to yourself like how your parents talk to you, or how someone when you were younger used to pick on you and say things about you? Like when you talk to yourself, whose voice are you actually using? So when I was on my self-love journey, I started to notice that the voice that I was speaking to myself in was the one of my parents. And at that time, it seemed like nothing that I did for my parents was ever really good enough. So when I started my self-love journey, I had to make my voice and the voice of my higher self the loudest voice in my mental building. And I really had to be very intentional about what that voice sounded like. So I encourage goddess talk. I had to start to speak to myself in a way in which I spoke to myself in a loving and nurturing way, because that's the way that my inner child likes to be spoken to. And that is the way that my inner goddess likes to speak to me. And you will find that your inner self talk then becomes reflected in other people's voices. So, the more that you're able to practice that, the more you'll start to see a shift in your external environment. And finally, gratitude. Gratitude and making yourself the center of your world, making yourself the good, the bad, and the ugly, being a devotee of your inner goddess and of your inner self, your small nuances, your strengths, your weaknesses. Are you a devotee of that and making that the center of your world? Are you grateful for your strengths? Do you embrace your weaknesses so that you can then sharpen them and then, make those your strengths as well? Do you smile in the face of your obstacles and seek out the opportunities within them? And do you protect yourself by being aware of potential threats? So, are you doing SWOT analysis on yourself? And can you turn every aspect of that into a practice of gratitude? Can you make the vibration of gratitude a habit that you walk with? That's the final journaling exercise of this video. I hope that you found this information powerful and useful. I apologize for the disruption of the videos. This phone's been bugging all day, but we made it through. Shout out to each of you that made it into part 2. I'm sending you all the love, and I will see you in the next one. One love.